Good morning from Truist Park, home of the Atlanta Braves, on a muggy morning here in late June, and they're taking on the Giants on a rather unusual. They don't have many of these weekday afternoon games. 12:20 first pitch. Temperature is going to be in the 90s today. We're starting off this morning in the upper 70s. The dew point, which measures the moisture in the atmosphere, is 5 degrees warmer than yesterday morning, so it is going to be a more uncomfortable day today. High temperature today forecast at 97. We'll be in the mid-90s during the game. Yesterday's high 98 tied a record. Today's record is 99. Probably not getting there, but it will actually feel hotter because there's going to be more moisture in the atmosphere. Again, you can bring in sealed water bottles, empty plastic water bottles. You can bring in your mister. You can even bring in an umbrella as long as it doesn't obstruct the views of your seatmates or the folks that are behind you. So they've got all these things going for you to try to keep you cool. They've got cooling stations inside and plenty of water outside between 10:30 and the first pitch. So Stephanie, gearing up for another Braves victory. Last night was a walk-off. Then tomorrow they host the Dodgers, who are #1 in the NL West. And tomorrow it's going to be cooler. And through the weekend, temperatures cool down, and we increase that risk of some thunderstorms for those evening games.
The Braves had a couple walk-offs with last year when they were trying to get to the World Series there. And Mike, the thing, you know, I don't know how long your shorts are. We were just talking with Danny Lipford about short shorts. You can burn your legs on the back of the, you know, and when you sit down on those seats, if they're too short. Let's see what Seidel's rocking. Oh, he's got the knee length, so he's covered there. Yeah, I would recommend wearing.
I stay away from the short inseams. Trust me, you don't want to get the back of your legs burned.
No, it really does actually quite hurt. All right, Mikey, we appreciate that. Thank you. Even though short shorts for men, it's in.
Meteorologist Mike Seidel is live this morning from Truist Park. And Mike, big day for the Braves with an afternoon game. So everyone is going to be out there in just the middle of the heat.
Yeah, it's hard to find any shade at the stadium today unless you're under one of those decks because highest sun angle of the year. Right now, we're protected by the Omni, so we're in the shade, but you can see the sun already beating down. That's already warmed the temperature up at Hartsfield to 81. Our low was 76. Our heat index now 84. Difference today versus yesterday, it will be more humid today, so that heat index will crack 100 degrees. And I heard Reynolds and Jen mention National Hydration Day, and this is what you need. By the way, if you've got a sealed water bottle or an empty water bottle, you can take those into Truist Park today for the Braves and Giants. Also, misters, battery-powered misters, umbrellas, as long as they don't obstruct the view of patrons behind you. And they've got cooling stations set up inside, watering stations out here. You can get hydrated before you go in between 10:30 and noon today. Let's talk about the forecast. Giants, last night, they were stunned. Bottom of the ninth, a walk-off, 3-run inning for the Braves. So the Braves are certainly pumped up. I was going to say kickoff. First pitch temperature today is going to be right up there in the low 90s, and during the game it'll get into the mid-90s. Remember, if you're in the sun, wear the sunscreen, the hat, drink the water, maybe take some breaks, go up to the concourses and get out of the hot sun. Clouds are going to be few and far between. We've got some high cirrus right now. Tomorrow, the Dodgers come to town, and it's Freddie Freeman's hometown reunion now with the Dodgers. Dodgers are red hot. They're in first place in the NL West, and the Braves have done very well lately. They're 4.5 behind the Mets. Games tomorrow and Saturday in the evening, so that means what's going to happen is it's not going to be as hot, and overall temperatures are going to be cooler going into the weekend, more humidity, and there will be a chance of some thunderstorms during the afternoon and evening hours. So we may have to deal with some lightning and rain here at Truist Park, but not the case today, Reynolds. Hottest Braves game on record, June 30th, 2012. First pitch, 104 degrees. You may remember that Saturday after the big derecho. Atlanta hit 106, and that's still the hottest temperature on record since the late 1800s.
Wow, high times out there for your first pitch kickoff. It's all sports ball. It's all sports ball, Mike. All right, thanks so much. Hey, for more.
Good morning, and it's a steamy morning at the ballpark here in Atlanta, Truist Park. I'm meteorologist Mike Seidel. You're looking at blue skies, some high cirrus clouds, nothing really to dampen the heat again today. Yesterday, Atlanta tied a record at 98 degrees. We're thinking we're going to get to 100. We didn't quite make it. Today, we're going to be right back up there at 97, 98. The record today is 99. Today, though, the heat index will be higher because the dew point, which measures the moisture here at the surface and the relative humidity, is going to be higher. Yesterday, the relative humidity down in Macon dropped to 18%. they hit 105 degrees. And remember, we take the temperature in the shade. Our forecast here, well, we got sunshine today. Chance of rain is almost 0. And the temperatures by first pitch will be in the low 90s. They've got cooling stations set up inside. You can get water out here right up until first pitch. And you can bring sealed water bottles and empty plastic bottles into the stadium and get your water in there, so you don't have to buy the water. Also, you can take umbrellas in, as long as they don't obstruct the view of the spectators that are behind you. It may be 98 today, but it's not even close to the hottest Braves game on record. I remember this weekend, I was heading down to Piedmont Park to cover the hottest day on record, and I got diverted up to D.C. It was that weekend of that huge derecho, that windstorm that went from the Midwest into the Mid-Atlantic, knocking out power to 5 million. Well, with that, the heat in the Southeast was unbearable. That Saturday, the Braves played the Washington Nationals, and the first pitch temperature was 104 degrees. That was downtown at Turner Field. The high that day ended up being 106, the hottest day on record in Atlanta. So Jen and Reynolds, hot stuff back then. Not as hot today, but boy, if you've got to sit out in the stands all day in the sun, you're going to have to wear a lot of sunscreen and hydrate and take breaks, maybe go up under the concourse and get out of the sun for a few minutes.
No, you really will today. Mike, all right, 104 are the hottest in Atlanta. What's the hottest all over, do you know, for baseball?
Yes, in fact, I just asked Stephanie on the phone, was it Arizona or was it Texas? I'll ask you guys, what state, was it the Rangers or the Diamondbacks that hold the record for the hottest MLB baseball game?
I'm going to go with Texas.
Texas.
Yeah.
Texas.
You guys are right. Texas Rangers, 1980 in June and 1988 in August. They played the Blue Jays and they played the Twins. So both northern teams coming into Texas in Arlington Stadium there between Dallas and Fort Worth. The first pitch temperature was 109 degrees on both those days in the 80s. Now the Rangers have a covered field, and the Diamondbacks, too, have a dome, too, retractable. So they have kept the heat away for the most part. So, yep, Texas is right, 109 first pitch. So that is one for the record books. By the way, 5 years ago, they sent me out to the Dodgers World Series game, first game. That was the hottest World Series game on record. Granted, a dry heat in SoCal, 103. And speaking of the Dodgers, they'll be in town starting tomorrow. Freddie Freeman makes his homecoming. He's now with L.A., and they'll be here tomorrow evening. Tomorrow evening, not as warm. We also have a threat of some afternoon and evening showers and thunderstorms for the Dodger series, which starts tomorrow.
Yeah, but that dew point going up, so I think tomorrow is actually going to feel more uncomfortable because it'll be more humid, kind of that drippy feeling, you know, that you get this time of year. Well,
but also, we're going to have the sun going down. I mean, today, you know, high sun angle of the year, there are not many places to escape the sun in the stadium. It faces, outfield goes off to the southeast. By the way, kind of a hitter's game today because the wind's going to be blowing northwest out, running 10 to 15 miles an hour, maybe a little gusty at times. So there is a breeze here outside at the Battery this morning, which tempers the heat. Dobbins Air Force Base 84 right now, Hartsfield 81. Heat index values are running in the mid-80s. So it's already kind of sticky. The way you like it, Jen. High dew points,
that is true.
High humidity, and pool water temperatures at least 90.
That's what they need, a pool at the ballpark so you could watch from there. Mike Seidel, thank you. We'll be checking back in with you throughout the morning. And meteorologist Mike Seidel is live this morning from Truist Park. All right, Mike. You know, during football season, I know on the bench, they have things to keep the football players warm, right? Heated benches sometimes, things like that. Do they do anything for baseball players to keep them cool in the dugout?
Not in the dugout that I've ever seen. You know, they shoot into the dugout. I guess they could go back into the clubhouse and grab a break from the hot weather. But the difference today is the humidity. The dew point right now, 69. This time yesterday at 10 a.m. Eastern, it was 65. So it's 85 right now at Hartsfield. The heat index is up to 88. And the forecast for today, another scorcher and more humid, more uncomfortable than yesterday. We do have a decent northwest breeze blowing out. So that's a hitter's wind today. It's swirling around a little bit here at the Chop House and at Battery Park. With the first pitch at 12:20, stadium is opened up. Fans are going in. We've got a lot of dads and young sons out here playing catch. Always pastime for the America's pastime, learning how to catch and throw the ball. Kids and dads alike will be going in today. It's one of those unusual weekday afternoon games here at Truist Park. So the temperatures during the game will rise into the mid-90s, and with the highest sun angle of the year, there's not many places you can hide from the sun. If you're out here in the right field bleachers where we are, this is the right field bleachers in the Chop House. You've got some shade there, of course, under the concourses, but most of the stadium is in the direct sun. So lots of sunscreen. Maybe head up to the concourse and take a break. Hydrate. You can bring in a sealed bottle of water or an empty plastic bottle and get your water inside at the fountains. They also are allowing you to bring in misters and handheld battery fans to keep cool, and umbrellas as long as you don't block the view of your friendly neighborhood spectators. So Reynolds, a good day at the ballpark, a hot day, and remember that sunscreen, because sitting out in the sun, highest sun angle of the year for 2.5, 3 hours, that says sunburn right away. So make sure you lather it up. Anytime you're outdoors in the summertime, whether you're at a baseball game or on the lake or the pool or the beach, protect yourself from skin cancer. That's a big concern these days.
All good advice. You know, there are 108 stitches in a baseball, and this weather certainly has us in stitches, there's no doubt. Well, for more advice on how to stay safe when the temperatures go up, their meteorologist Mike Seidel is live this morning from Truist Park, and we're approaching the midday hour, and the temperatures are on the uptick, Mike.
They are. They're already in the mid-80s. Heat index values heading towards 90. And we've got the Senior Vice President of Operations here at Truist Park in with the Braves, Hannah Basinger. And she's been with the Braves for 16 years. So you've seen a lot of baseball, and you've been to a lot of hot games. This is obviously one of the Braves' hottest, but not the hottest.
Right.
Remember the hottest game? We talked about this earlier. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yes.
June 30th, 2012.
Yes.
106 degrees.
Yes, very hot.
Now today.
Back at Turner Field.
Yeah, Turner Field. So today, you've got special things that the fans can do to stay cool.
Absolutely. We are offering complimentary water stations. Really want to encourage fans to hydrate even before they come in the ballpark. So we have those at our third base gate and also right here behind me at our Chop House gate. We put those at our busiest gates, trying to hit as many fans as we can, encouraging them to hydrate before they even come into the ballpark. Once we get started today at first pitch, we're going to move them inside and condense them to our left field gate. Again, encouraging fans to stay hydrated and providing that complimentary water station.
Yeah, especially considering it's the hottest, highest sun angle of the year, one of the hottest days of the summer. So there's not many places to escape the sun and get into the shade.
Yes, well, I do think there's some really neat features about Truist Park that you can cool off, and I love that about our ballpark. So when you're in the seats and you're on the lower level and the terrace level, you can go to the back of the aisle and escape from the heat and be under some really large fans that we have throughout our concourses, and you can really escape the heat.
And now we got the music right on cue. Well, I'll put you on my dance card. Okay, let's talk about during the game as far as paramedics and if there are any health emergencies.
Absolutely. We are fully staffed to be able to prepare for any and address any heat issues that we have. But again, trying to get ahead of that, encouraging fans to stay hydrated, eat, and escape the heat when you need to. We have cooling stations as well.
And you also have some places you can go, like the Chop House, to cool off.
Yeah, we do. You can go into our restaurants. The Chop House is one of those. You can also go into our cooling stations in the elevator lobbies on the lower level. Both sides of the ballpark have really large air-conditioned elevator lobbies. We use those as cooling stations on days like these.
And how many more weekday afternoon games do you have?
We typically have about 6 a year.
I think this is the third one, right?
Yes, yes.
And do you attract a different kind of crowd because it's a weekday and a lot of folks are working?
Yes, we do. We see a very busy, sweet business. We see a lot of corporate business today, a lot of families here for the summer. We see a little bit of everyone, but it is a great time to catch a game during the day.
Okay, Kim Basinger, thanks for joining us. We're leaving you with some music. Good morning. Welcome back to Truist Park here in Atlanta. I'm meteorologist Mike Seidel. One of the unusual weekday day games here. They have about a half a dozen a season. Boy, the sun is beating down already. Our heat index is already up around 90. And at first pitch today will be right around 91 degrees, heading up for a high of 98 record today is 99, so we'll head close to that record. Yesterday, we tied a record at 98, but the Braves played last night when it was a little bit cooler. In fact, it was a walk-off win with 3 runs in the bottom of the 9th, so the Braves are coming off that. A lot of fans now coming on in, and I want to show you one of the things we're doing for the fans on this hot day. This is one of the cooling stations where you can get into the shade and get some free cold water and drink up and get hydrated even before you go in to the stadium. So you just grab your Coke cup and hit it like that. Ice cold water, nothing like it. And remember, if you're already thirsty, you should have been drinking water earlier. That's your body telling you need to drink water. And we talked about the hottest game on record in Atlanta, and that was that heat wave. Remember, late June, early July of 10 years ago. But the hottest baseball games on record have taken place both in Texas. The Texas Rangers, one against the Blue Jays, one against the Twins in that dreadful summer of 1980. Remember how hot it was in Dallas, how many 100-degree days they had, and also in 1988. So we're not even close to that, but it is going to be awfully hot considering that the sun is the highest in the sky of the year, and we're out here on the right field, basically the right field part of the stadium, right behind the Chop House gate. So the sun's beating down, hitting a lot of the stands. We do have a bit of a breeze. It's northwest at about 10 to 15 miles an hour. That's blowing out, and that helps the batters a little bit, but it helps you a little bit to stay cool. But I tell you, when you're in the direct sun, make sure you've got a hat on, wear lots of sunscreen, and stay hydrated. Reynolds and Jen, great day for baseball. It's a hot day, though, and hopefully the Braves will be hot like last night. They've had 2 come-from-behind wins, walk-off wins in the series. Tomorrow, the red-hot Dodgers come into town, and Freddie Freeman makes his homecoming appearance with the Dodgers here at Truist Park. It's an evening game. It won't be as hot tomorrow in the afternoon, about 90. Also, a chance of some evening thunderstorms, hopefully not getting in the way of play here at Truist tomorrow night.
Yeah,
You know,
I just looked for some tickets.
There you go. And what was the result?
Standing room only tomorrow night. Yeah, it's standing room only. So everyone's going. The weather is not changing their plans. Mike, you were outside on Tuesday with the heat in Atlanta. Compare that to the heat today. How does it feel different?
It's more humid, and the way I can tell the difference, and I think you can, is how does it feel when you're sitting in the shade? Because you're out of the sun, and the sun is hot no matter what the heat index is. But when you're in the shade, does it feel comfortable? And on Tuesday afternoon, we were downtown, and in between live shots, we were in the shade, and, you know, there was a good breeze going, 15-mile-an-hour breeze swirling, and the heat index was actually lower than the air temperature. And so there you go. It's all about the dew point and the humidity and how you feel. Because as the dew point goes up, the humidity goes up, and then it's harder for you to sweat. And we sweat, that's your body telling it, cooling you off. And when you sweat and the humidity is higher, the evaporative cooling is lower. You know how you get out of the shower in the winter and you feel cool? Well, that's the evaporative cooling. But the bottom line, Jen, it was more comfy. Whoops, forgot I had water in the cup.
It'll cool you off. It'll cool you off, Mike Seidel.
It was more comfy. It was more comfy on Tuesday than today. Actually, that felt pretty good.
Yeah.
There you go. You know, baseball is a game that's meant to be played outdoors, but this does make you appreciate from time to time climate control.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
So
Thanks, Mike Seidel.
Thanks a lot.
He's going to be like the runners, you know, when you're in a road race and you take 2 cups of water when you go by the water stands, you drink one, and the other one you put on your head, right?
Oh, no doubt about it.
So meteorologist Mike Seidel has been live for us this morning from Truist Park. All right, Mike, what's your temperature up to? How is it feeling out there?
Jen, it's 89, but the dew point, as you know, is higher today, 69 at 11 a.m. Eastern. So that's 5 degrees higher than yesterday. So our heat index is already 94, and I can feel every bit of it. I am in the shade, but as we talked about earlier, Jen, 2 days ago I was in the shade, but the humidity was about 15 to 20% lower. It makes a big difference. And you can see all the fans now streaming into Truist Park. I'm sure just about all the 41,000 seats are sold out. But look up there in the upper left field decks. There is some shade up there. Now, depending on the sun angle, which is the highest of the year, we'll see the shade will rotate around. But if you're in those higher rows in the nosebleeds, you're going to be in pretty good shape for a while, at least out of the direct sun. And that's the key, because we take the temperature in the shade. If you put the thermometer in the sun, it's going to be at least 20 degrees warmer. So if you can, take breaks, find some shade in the park. Otherwise, hydration is important. They've got hydration stations set up until first pitch, then they'll move them inside so you can get some water. You can also bring in your own water or an empty plastic bottle. That's good. And those battery-powered misters, that works because the evaporative cooling, albeit the fact that today the evaporative cooling is going to be lower than it was 2 days ago because the dew point's higher and the humidity's higher. So you do the mathematics, and it will cool you off, though, especially with a breeze. There's going to be a northwest wind around 10 to 15 miles an hour that's blowing out from the park. But a long way from the hottest game on record, which was June 30th, 10 years ago, 2012. First pitch, 104 degrees, 106 was the high that day, the all-time record high in Atlanta. So Jen and Reynolds, a hot day for baseball, one of the few games they played during the week in the middle of the day. They've got 6 scheduled this year, but there's a lot of people out here, a lot of people wearing hats. I've seen people spraying on and lathering up the sunscreen, and many folks coming in with water. That's the way to go, especially if you're out in the direct sun for 2.5+ hours today here in Atlanta.
Hey, Mike, quick question, very quick question. You've done this longer than anyone else I know, and I've seen you out in sub-zero conditions with wind chills that are just nightmarish. If you had to make a choice between the extreme cold, which you've endured, or the extreme heat, you have to make a choice. Which one would you prefer?
This by far. This by far.
Really?
I mean, the polar vortex a few years ago in Chicago, 25 below, the wind chill 49 below, it's just painful. Out here, I'm standing here, yes, I'm perspiring a little bit, and it's a little muggy, but you can get out of the sun and stay in the shade and maybe find a breeze. So with that said, yes, today over the polar vortex in Chicago by a long shot.
Okay, folks, there you go. No one better than Mike Seidel. All right, folks, well, thanks so much. Live footage with Mike Seidel where the heat is on in the South. Atlanta tied a heat record, a record yesterday with a high going up to 98 degrees. Meteorologist Mike Seidel is live this morning from Truist Park.
Yeah, Mike, we've heard about games been delayed or even postponed because of weather before, right? Whether it's thunderstorms or maybe it's, wind or cold, extreme cold. But I've never heard of a game being affected by the heat in any sport. Have you?
I have never heard of a game canceled by heat. No, lightning, cold. We had a World Series game in Cleveland, the coldest on record. Remember, it snowed. Oh, gosh, that's going back about 15 years. And we've had games canceled at Coors Field in the spring because of snow. But in the heat, they play ball. Unless, again, if there's lightning or thunder. We may have that issue starting tomorrow as the temperatures cool down and we get more moisture and a little bit more instability. Right now, we're sitting at 89 at Hartsfield as of 11. So I can guarantee you it's already hit 90 officially. Our heat index is already in the mid-90s. And today's difference is the humidity is going to be higher. So although our temperature will max out at about the same place, 98 yesterday tied a record. Today's record is 99. It's going to feel warmer. And to the thousands going into the stands, they've set up cooling stations. They're going to have places where you can get water. You can bring water in. You can bring in your battery-powered misters and fans and try to do the best you can. I talked to some folks. They know they're in the sun. They've got the big brim hats, and they're going to do the best they can to bear the heat. Now, I pointed out earlier there is some shade in some of the areas under the deck, the upper-level deck. You can see those seats. The left field line are in the shade right now, but as the sun rotates, that'll change. But we're talking about a game during the middle of the day with the highest sun angle, so there's not many places you could escape the hot sun. We'll keep you updated through the afternoon, and certainly more on how the heat backs off and builds in the southern plains going into the weekend. And it's not long before July 4th. We'll have an early look at that as we head into this coming weekend. Good morning from the ballpark. We're at Truist Ballpark here in Atlanta. The Braves hosting the Giants, their final game of a 4-game matchup. The Braves have won 2 walk-offs. In fact, in the second game, they came back in the bottom of the 9th and scored 2 and almost did it again. So not bad. 2 out of 3. We'll see if they can take the game 4 today, the final game of the 4-game series. It is going to be the hottest game of the series. In fact, the hottest Braves game at home so far this season. Temperature now right around 90. The heat index in the mid-90s. And by first pitch at 12:20, we're going to be up another few degrees. Our high that's expected this afternoon is 98. That would be one off the record of 99. Yesterday, we tied the record. Difference today is the air is moister. Yesterday was drier and through the early part of the week, so it doesn't feel as hot. But as I stand here in the shade, I can feel the perspiration, even if you're just standing still and doing nothing, despite the breeze. By the way, there's going to be a breeze today for the hitters. Northwest around 10 to 15, blowing out from home plate towards center field. Most of the stadium is going to be in the sun for a good part of the game because of the time of the day and the time of the year. But a far cry from the hottest game on record. That was at Turner Field 10 years ago, 104 first pitch on that Saturday afternoon, June 30th. And the temperature 104, 106 was the record high that day as they took on the Nationals. So, Jen and Reynolds, it's another steamy day in Atlanta, but good news ahead. As the Dodgers come to town, it won't be as hot, especially with the evening games, but there's going to be a threat of some lightning and thunder, which could cause an issue. But they don't stop for the heat. They play ball.
Yeah.
And that could be interesting tomorrow night. I mean, as you mentioned, Jen, it's going to be a crowded house. So if you have a chance of storms and you have Freddie, for even the Dodgers coming into town.
Yeah. You know, I did check for tickets tomorrow night. It's already standing room only. Mike, do you think the heat has affected attendance there today? I mean, it seems like it's, packing in behind you with people.
It's hard to tell. They have about 41,000 seats, and even when the game is sold out, the season ticket holders count. But it's certainly a huge crowd streaming in. Everybody's got the sunscreen. A lot of folks are wearing hats. How hot is it? It's hot. It's hot. It's hot. And so they know what they're in for. This is not a surprise. I mean, you don't even have to have an app to know that it's going to be hot today. And again, they've got cooling stations. They got places you can go to cool off. And they urge you to, if you can, take a break, get into the shade. They also have restaurants in the stadium where you can go and find some cool weather. But if you have some shade and you're in the breeze and you just sit there and relax, you won't sweat as much. But make sure you keep drinking water. Drink water. That's the way to go on days like today.
Mike, I heard earlier when you were interviewing someone from the ballpark there, they were talking about the big fans that they have in the stands. So if you go back up under the concession areas, I was sitting by one of those fans once during the summertime at a game, freezing because the fans are so powerful. I mean, you're getting like a full-blown breeze. I'm always cold, but I'm just saying they're very effective at cooling you down.
Yeah, certainly. Anytime you can get out of the direct sun, it takes a lot of the impetus of the heat, because if we put the thermometer in the sun, it's going to read probably about 20 degrees warmer. And the temperature off the turf, I talked to some folks who had some baseball games, AAU baseball games. They had younger kids, and they said the temperature on the turf was running 135 to 140 degrees. And we measured the temperature downtown 2 days ago off the asphalt, 143. So you're in the stands. Not only is it mid to upper 90s, but you've got concrete. So that's radiating heat too. So the only way to get the true temperature, which is still going to be hot, is to find some shade or find some AC. But I can tell you, with all due respect, they couldn't give me a ticket to the chairman's seats behind home plate today.
It is going to be a hot one. Mike Seidel, thank you so much, man. We've stuck him in the heat all week this week.
Yeah, I promise we love Mike. We're trying not to punish him at all, but he's truly at the hottest show, literally and figuratively, in Atlanta today.